everyone! I am filming this in Dylan's room when he comes to stay with us because my dad is downstairs in the lounge, which is directly underneath my bedroom, and he has the television on so loud. He's deaf, he won't get hearing aids, so you know, we all have to just suffer. Anyway, at the time of recording, I am super excited because in a couple of days' time, I am off to Exeter West Point Arena to go and see the Titanic exhibition. I can't wait. I am, of course, going to vlog it, but I thought I would preface that video with one explaining my love for all things Titanic. Yes, I'm a Titanorac. I was first told about Titanic either when I was at school, like primary school, or by my nan. I can't actually remember which came first. I do know that my nan did talk to me about Titanic because she loved teaching me about history, and I'm absolutely certain I also learnt about it in primary school. But which came first? The chicken or the egg? The Titanic lesson or the Titanic nan? I can't remember. But I do remember that I just became absolutely fascinated by it. I was like, well, hang on a minute. How could an iceberg sink an entire ship? Because in my small child head, I was like, ice melts. That's just water that's gone a bit hard. How does that sink a metal boat? Of course, as an adult, I am aware that ice freezes and stays very, very firm. And that's how that happened. Titanic fascinates me for so many different reasons. Firstly, because like in one ship, there seemed to be like a microcosm of humanity at that point in time. You know, you had the first class, which was very luxurious and eating amazing things on the a la carte menu. And then down in steerage, you had the third class passengers who, and yes, I'm aware that Titanic was much more luxurious in third class than other ships at the time, but they were still not eating the caviar, if you know what I'm saying. And I've always been kind of fascinated by class division. I am kind of anti that, and you know, not a big fan of separating people depending on their wealth. But you know, back then it was such a huge thing, and yes, it is still a thing now, but I think back then you had such a microscope on you and what class you belonged to that seeing it all contained in this one place is like mind-boggling. Also, it's a fantastic feat of engineering. The actual ship itself was gorgeous and huge for her time. I know today's cruise ships kind of dwarf the Titanic, but at the time she was the biggest ship ever. You know, you looked at her and were just like, whoa, how did a man make that? And yes, I know it wasn't just one, it was many, but still. I also think as humans we have kind of a propensity to be obsessed with the things that scare us the most. And that is definitely true of me. I am not a super great swimmer, and I'm terrified of dying in a tragic way. So when I look at the story of the Titanic and I think about myself, and in reality, if there was a ship like that now and I wanted a ticket on it, I mean, I personally could probably only afford a steerage ticket, so you know, I'd drown. It's a horrible, horrible way to have gone for a lot of those people. I'd like to think that some of them didn't know much about it, but let's be real, a lot of them probably did. And I think just the knowledge of that and what an absolutely awful thing that they went through is enough to sort of make your brain fixate on something, and it definitely has for me. Plus, you get so many stories from the Titanic. It's not just this dreadful tragedy, it's also stories of heroism and incredible escapes. You know, you hear about the band playing on until the end and things like that, and you can't help but be captivated by these stories. I know that Titanic is one of those things that I could talk about for quite a long time and have done many times. I'm obsessed with the Titanic, but I'm going to end this video here because, wow, I don't know if you can hear this, but I sound croaky as heck. It's now been close to 8 weeks. Spoken to a doctor on the phone 3 times. Nobody wants to actually, you know, see me and look in my throat, but yay. Thankfully, I have a really nice asthma nurse, and she referred me for secondary care at hospital, and the asthma nurse I saw at the hospital was like, "You need to go and see an ENT. You're really croaky and I think there's issues with your throat and your sinuses. You might have like some sort of problem with your upper respiratory tract." So thankfully, with absolutely no help from my GP, I am going to see the ENT next month. I nearly said week. It's not. By the time this goes out, it'll be nearly next week. Anyway, I can also hear that my incredibly loud dad is now in the kitchen, which is beneath this room. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you are also a Titanorac. Let's share our love and our fascination with this beautiful ship and her tragic end. You can click on my floaty head up here if you'd like to subscribe, and last week's video is over there. Take care everyone, and I will see you at the Titanic exhibition for next week's video. Bye!